Hello, my feral friends. Welcome to another episode of Certifiably Feral. I am your host, Keli Bednick. And today I'm solo again. First time I'm solo, but again, Amanda is off on a little life vacation. She has some personal stuff that she's tending to in life, and we didn't want to put this on hold while that's going on, but we did want to give her a chance to be on hold from this. So it's just me. Last episode, it was a Mother's Day bonus with my daughter Elle, and today it's just you and me. And I am coming at ya from my garden. And you may have seen on Instagram earlier this week, I gave a little question box of letting you know it was going to just be you and me and asking if you had any questions or ideas for this chat. And I got so many awesome, cool responses. I'm going to get to as many of them as I possibly can. And one of the questions was, what is bringing juice to your life? What is making your life juicy? Something along those lines. And I was going to talk about that, but then I was like, ooh, actually, I just want to show it. I have my sunglasses on in this video. I am so light sensitive. And so, sorry, you got to see me with sunglasses on today, but they're cute. So anyway, I am showing you one of the things that is giving the most juice to my life, which is a few things in this little vignette in my garden. Obviously, first of all, my garden. Ellie and I started this. We decided as a family we wanted to have a garden. Now, mind you, we live in a very urban little area. We're a block in from one of the busiest streets in Spokane. We have a very colorful, feral, quite honestly, neighborhood. We have tons of traffic, tons of foot traffic, just so much goodness. And it is, if you know me from my domesticated years of life, you know I was loved my suburban life so much and still do. I have the best, most fond memories. And I also love my feral little life. And our transition into this house was part of that transition into our feral season as a family. We really love being in the heart of this urban community. And we love bringing our spin to this place. And so one of the things we did, this lot where our garden is, our house is 100 years old. And the woman who lived here for like 40 years, I guess, had one of the most people envied her garden. And it was overgrown with vines and shrubs and all kinds of things. And we cleared it out and turned it back into a garden. So it's Ellie's little passion project, but as a family, we knew we wanted a garden this year. So she saved my back and hips and did most of the hard labor planting. And now we're tending it together, and we're still clearing shrubs. And all of this behind me is just trees that we've cut down and shrubs. And it's wild. It's wild and feral. And we're still working, but it is just like such a spot of joy for both of us to be barefoot in the garden and out here constantly. Well, another thing that I love to do is bring inside elements outside and outside elements inside. So I have my little antique chair and table and candles and incense. And I just come sit out here in the morning and soak it all in. And I just wanted to share that with you today. So that is what is bringing the juice to my life. And one of the things that helps me stay connected to my feral self in this little neighborhood and my little world. So we will probably have all kinds of noise in the background today. This microphone supposedly helps to filter out background noise, but we're guaranteed to have loud cars drive by, probably people talking, moving in the background. Also, I have crows who come and talk to me regularly, so they'll probably make an appearance. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's kind of part of the fun of this today, I think, at least for me. So hopefully it'll be fun for you. Okay, so let's dive into some of the questions that you asked. I got a lot of would you rathers, which was really fun and funny and cute. The first one was from my bonus boy. So you may know, I may have talked about Ellie's boyfriend they've been together for 2 years, which is insane. But he really has a special place in our family. And it is an ongoing debate in our family. And he wanted to open it up for other opinions. So I will add this to the question box online, or you can reply in whatever comments from wherever you're listening. But this is a heated debate that we need a lot of input on. And it is roasted marshmallows, burnt to a crisp, charcoal burnt to a crisp, or just lit on fire burnt. He likes his, I don't even know that there's any marshmallow left. Honestly, after he's done roasting, it's just a blob of charcoal. Or the deliciously golden, gooey in the middle, lightly toasted on the outside marshmallow, which is obviously my preference. So we'll kick off, would you rather burnt to a crisp marshmallow or deliciously light and golden? Obviously, I'm choosing warm, gooey center, no black. If there's a tiny bit of black, it might be okay, but mostly not. That's my answer to that burning question of would you rather. Second one. I only chose 3, but there were so many. Only eat potatoes for the rest of your life, or never be allowed potatoes for the rest of your life. This dips into my Irish roots real strong. I'm a potato girl. I like potatoes, as far as I know, in every form. I'm choosing, but it's so hard because I'm going to need a leafy green in there, or maybe a chicken breast, some kind of protein. So if it's only potatoes, it's the only thing I can eat, that's a tough one. But I don't know that I could choose to go without potatoes for the rest of my life. Like, that sounds like torture. I love a mashed, I love a fried, I love every form. I can't think of a potato that I don't like. So that's the nice thing about potatoes. You can have them in so many varieties. Shit. I probably would have to have only potatoes for the rest of my life. I don't know. Tell me your opinion. We'll have a pop quiz on this somehow, some way. Oh, yeah, probably only potato. I could exist on potatoes. I don't know how my body would feel about that, but my mouth and my heart would feel great. So we're just going with that. Last one. Belly dancing or swing dancing? Hands down, it's belly dancing for me. So as you know, we as a group of friends did a swing dancing. I think it was six weeks that we did swing dancing. It was great. I loved, it was fun to do it with my friends. I can't say that I love swing dancing. It wasn't something that I was super enjoying. I liked learning the steps. I didn't like having a partner. I didn't like having to be a lead or be a follow. I need a more free-flowing dance situation. So after swing was over, then we started belly dancing. It was, I think, a 4-week course, and then I signed up again. So 2 of us signed up to keep going. I don't know that I'll ever stop. I love it. Here's an airplane. I love it because, I'm still learning just basic moves, right? But it's all these micro movements that are really muscle isolating micro movements that are really cool, but it's because it's helping me be aware of my body, which is what I was looking for in a dance class, being present in my body. So that's been pretty cool. Plus just movement and sensuality and it's just fun, and I don't have to have a lead, and I don't have to be a lead. It's so far probably my favorite form of movement that I've ever done, which is interesting because I don't know. It's out of my comfort zone for sure, but I really dig it. So that's it. That's it for the Would You Rathers. There were much more, but I could spend the whole episode doing Would You Rathers. And I'm trying to keep this a little shorter because it's just me talking to myself. I mean, I'm talking to you, but there's nobody here to keep things going. So, oh, my candle went out. So sad. It's windy. Okay. Next question that I was asked is, why did you cut your hair again? Oh, okay. First time I shaved my head, it was a big deal. It was me shedding 48 years of stuff that I was ready to move on from. It was a spiritual experience. And once it was done, it was just like so liberating. And I loved never having to think about hair, never having to for those of you curly girls, most of our lives has been about managing the curls. Like there was a time in my life where it was cool to have curls. Then I spent most of my life straightening my curls. Then it was cool to have curls again. So I had to go through this whole process of like curly girl method to bring my curls back. And it was the short mom bobs. It was the long curls. It was the long straight hair. It was I don't know if from what I know from other curly girls, so much fucking time and effort and attention has gone into like managing the hair that it became kind of a thing. When I shaved my head and not having that anymore, it was like, oh, I love this. Then I started growing my hair back out and Wanda was born, and I loved like this spicy, spunky feel that I had around, playing with Wanda, her wild self. And then that kind of started becoming a thing again, like this identity of what my hair looked like, what it was doing. I would walk into a room and people were like, oh, Wanda's this today, or oh, Wanda's this today. And then I started like growing it a little bit more, and Wanda wouldn't stand up as easily, and Wanda was laying down flat, and then I just looked like my mother, and that was the whole thing. And then it was like, oh, Wanda's laying down today, and it's like, okay, I'm back to being hair, which obviously isn't true. And I love like Wanda and all the Wanda conversations. Like, please, if you have been in a Wanda conversation with me, no, I loved it until I didn't. And it wasn't about other people's ideas of Wanda. It was like me getting up, doing my hair, being like, this isn't working. And then feeling the frustration and all that. And I was like, what is happening? Why? Why is this a thing? I love not having to think about hair. I love it so much, you guys, that I shaved it off again. Like literally, it's kind of like I keep saying those people who wear the same outfit, like they buy 7 of the same shirt and pants, and they just wear it so they never have to think about clothes. This is my version of that. Like, maybe it's my neurodivergent self. I don't want to have to think about hair. I don't. I love the freedom of being more than a hairdo. And I don't know. For now, that feels good. So I'm going with it. Plus, it's summer and it's way cooler to have no hair, especially in menopause. So that's where we're at. I am really digging just being free from hair thoughts. So get used to it because it might stick around for a while. Okay, that's question number 2. And that's pretty much it for the light and fluffy questions. Although I never make anything light and fluffy. Like everything in my life has deeper meaning. I feel like I'm just one of those people that I make things deeper than they need to be, probably. It's all right. I like it about myself. I'm never bored. But some topics that came up, some topic suggestions that came up that I really resonated with. The first one, someone said, I need to know that we aren't going to lose the battle against trans hatred. I'm exhausted. And this is from a lovely human mama that I am connected with who has a child who's trans. And so, of course, that hits even heavier when we're mama, battling something and knowing what's going on in our world right now. What has been going on, this is not a new issue, but it's definitely a fiery one again. These last few years, couple of years, I think it just seems to be getting more and more intense. And obviously I have no answers to this, but I did want to just acknowledge as a society, it feels so much like we are just going backwards in so many things, or maybe not even going backwards, but just the ugliness is so much more free to be expressed. People feel so much more empowered to spew hate to other people for whatever reasons. And this one especially is such a difficult one because lives are being taken for people just being fully who they feel they are inside and daring to allow their outsides to match their inside. And there's a depth to that is so, you feel it so big when it's yourself and your your child. And I just wanted to take a minute to honor the struggle that it is to be living through these times with so much hatred, feeling free to flow and be expressed verbally, physically, and through violence. And I don't have any answers except for to know, and this is something that I am really just trying to implement in every one of these difficult spaces in our world right now, is how can I show up with the most love? Whether that's with this specific subject, how do I show up with the most love for folks who are being openly hated for their gender expression, for their race, for their sexual orientation, for their being in the world that is other than what somebody decided was the status quo? Like, how can I just release the most love possible? How can I show up in my world releasing love and doing my best to be an ally, an advocate, a friend, a support system in any way that's possible? Sometimes I don't know the physical expression of that. I don't have the capacity. We cannot go to every march, to everything. I can't fully give my energy to everything. But the things that matter most to me, I can show up the biggest. And the things that matter most to you, you can show up the biggest. And somehow we can trust that if as many of us as possible keep showing up in the things that matter most and keep supporting other people to show up in the things that matter most to them, that it is making a difference. And that's what I got. And hopefully, if we can stay true to that, putting our energy in the places that we feel called to put our energy unapologetically, the best that we can, that it is going to continue to make a difference, to cause enough ripples, to say no. Because I don't know any other way that we make it through this. there are systems that have to crumble, but unfortunately, there's a lot of fallout along the way. And I'm feeling that very much lately. Is I know there are systems that have to crumble, and they're going to get louder and uglier all the way down. And I hate that there has to be collateral damage or collateral effects to people along the way. That seems like so unfair. And again, I don't know how we do this except for to just keep showing up in love in whatever ways we can. So that doesn't feel profound enough, but it's what I got. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Okay, next question. What are my favorite go-to tools for overstimulation or anxiety? Of course, I'm going to come at this from a somatic practitioner standpoint first, because that's my wheelhouse. That's what, I go to. My way of doing the best I can I'm just going to be really honest with you. In an overstimulation situation, typically it's like, don't even realize I'm overstimulated until I'm snarky with someone and like, I'm going to lock myself in my room. Like, it's real talk. Not my finest, most proud ways of handling it. Overstimulation is tough, especially for us neurospices. I am not as aware about overstimulation until I'm like, oh, my teeth are on edge, and it's just like, I tend to get overstimulated. Like, Amanda and I were at a farmer's market yesterday, and like halfway through, I was like, I'm coming out of my skin. It's the sounds and it's the smells and it's the people, but for me, it's also the energy. Like, I'm such an energy sensitive person. And so it's just like everybody's vibrating. And then I don't realize I'm overstimulated until I'm just like ready to like claw my skin. Not great. But when I realize I'm overstimulated, if it's in a situation that I can't really get out of, like in the middle of the farmer's market, I can't just like run away and go hide in a corner. I could. When I can, I will step like into a less crowded area and just take a couple of intentional breaths. Or I will just notice, okay, I am feeling so much energy right now. For me, the energy part of it is just like, okay, I'm going to close in my energy field, put my bubble around me, even if it's a practice that I'm like, is this real? Does this work? Who cares? Imagine a bubble around you and everything is just bouncing off of your little bubble of safety. In overstimulation, when it's energetic overstimulation, that really works well for me. And I view my energy receptors like tentacles, and I just roll my little tentacles back in and stop feeling everybody's vibrations. Sound, things like that are overstimulating to me, or especially for me, like having a lot of touch. Like just having, when if you're a mom and had littles, just that feeling of them just being on you all day and how overstimulating that gets. That's how I feel everything. Like whether it's sound or whatever, it feels like it's touching me. And so I just do this, kind of lightly. It doesn't have to look weird. You can just be like kind of. And I just kind of dust it off. And for me, there's a somatic practice called havening, where you just kind of lightly brush yourself off. And it provides this like wonderful release and gentle soothing. Havening is one of my favorite things. Like I literally just brought my nervous system down just doing that. I can watch somebody else do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. We're calm. I use that for anxiety. I use that for overstimulation. I use that for a lot of things. Havening is like the miracle drug for me. Other things, anxiety things, another tool I use, it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When I find myself in a anxious activation, my goal is to take a step back and get perspective as quickly as possible. So for me, that means, first of all, I need to get into my body. And one of the best things I can do to get into my body is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Telling myself with as much detail as possible, what are 5 things I can see right now? I see that black crow that's flying toward me. I see the green tree across the way that has dead branches on it. I see, like 5 things I can see around me. What are 4 things that I can touch, hear or touch? I can't remember. I always get these mixed up. Doesn't matter, but I'll try to list it here for you. 5 things I can hear, 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear, 3 things I can feel or touch, 2 things I can smell, 1 thing I can taste. So just giving your brain something to focus on that gets you present in the moment and present in my body, for me, super ideal. And then once I am present, taking that step back and changing my perspective to have like the 500-foot view, or my husband always says 10,000-foot view. That's a little too high for me, but like just aside, back from the situation enough to be able to see it a little more clearly. What do I have control over here? What can I do? Why am I activated? Why is my anxiety activated? And what can I do to nurture that? Maybe it's a part of me that's stirred up and feeling activated. Okay, great. What does that part need? What is she afraid of? What is she worried about? Like really being able to look at it from outside the situation enough to be able to tend to it really helps me with anxiety. Am I perfect at it? No. Am I good at it? Probably not even that, but I'm trying my best at it. Let's see what else. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Of course, breathing is a good thing. I have a lot of somatic practices that I share with my clients. And everybody's different. Like for some of us, certain things take hold, and some are like, nah, that doesn't really work. Like there's one where you just like tug on your ear, like your inner upper earlobe or whatever. And that does nothing for me. It's a vagus nerve thing, but my son, it's like, he loves it. So, there's so many somatic tools, like in an acute anxiety situation to kind of help reset that we can use. And I love helping people discover like what theirs are. So probably talked that question to death, but there we are. Trying to think if there's anything else. Do we want to talk more about this? We could probably do a whole episode on that. Okay. Next question. What are my biggest dreams right now? What are my biggest fears? My biggest dream in the whole entire world is to like create a space that offers people a place to visit for their wellness. It used to be like a retreat space, and I haven't given up on that. Like my family would love to own a lot of acreage outside of town. That's our family home, but also a retreat space, a place for people to come and visit, maybe for a weekend and have their own little cabin to just have self-connection, or come have some guided practices with me, but also have their own little place of solitude. Or maybe it's a full retreat. I would really love to have a space that is just kind of my regular, where we can, it helps with cost. I hate having to go places and charge a few $1,000s for people to come because I'm having to pay for the space. Like I'd love to be able to have a place where that isn't factored in as part of the cost and it makes it more accessible to people. But I also don't know, right now in this world, feels like that dream is getting further and further away instead of closer. So I don't know. But I have a lot of magical friends who are all feeling like we really want to create a space where people can come and connect with wellness. So maybe you come into one big space that is, somatic therapists and energy practitioners and body workers and breathwork facilitators, like a place where all the magical people are. And that is also a community and all kinds. It's a dream in progress. And I really, really, really would like to find a way to put all of this together. I know so many people who are dreaming about it, and I would just really like to find this answer so that we can get to it, because it feels like more and more and more our world is needing this so desperately. And so many of us are wanting to provide it and just running into either the financial or the practical time and space ways of making that happen. And I'm really just fucking sick of that constantly being a barrier to us just taking over the world in our magical ways. Magical meaning like feral, embodied, healing practitioners of all of the things that actually work to make people feel loved and nurtured and cared for, and empowers them to do that for themselves. That's magical, to that girl who was like, does your mom really think she's doing magic? Yes, that's the kind of magic I would like to be doing and that I am doing. I'm still mad at her. Do you hear that? Those are my dreams. Like, it's the dreams at the forefront of my mind that I'm constantly like, how can I make this happen outside of winning the lottery? Because I've given up hope that that's the answer. I think, although it'd be super cool if it was. What are my biggest fears? Stagnancy, like giving up hope and not making my biggest dreams happen is my biggest fear. Like just quitting. I don't have a fear of failure. I have a fear of giving up, I guess. So I don't care how many times I fail at something. I just never want to give up. The last question was, do you believe there is growth without discomfort? Where's the line of benefit is there benefit to the discomfort versus not? And I think that's such a poignant question right now, because I think so many people are going through a transition and a time of growth or expansion or change. And is there growth without discomfort? That is such a loaded question. I think it would be very hard to have growth without some level of discomfort, because there's expansion requires movement. It requires a letting go and a moving forward or grabbing hold to or becoming pretty much simultaneously. I think the level of discomfort attached to that is directly in relation to how willing are we to surrender into the growth? How much are we fighting it? How committed to our own safety are we? How difficult of a process of growth or transition is it for our nervous system? What are we holding on to that has felt like safety before that isn't safety anymore? These are all the questions that I think go along with the discomfort of growth or change or transition. Can we grow without discomfort? Yeah, I mean, I like to think so. But I think how uncomfortable the discomfort is really relies on how comfortable with discomfort are we? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a person who I'm more uncomfortable playing in the shallow end of the pool than I am like jumping into the deep end. I'm more uncomfortable with sitting still and being like, I don't know. I love a challenge. And so for me now, at this stage of my life, which is not, hear me when I say it has not always been this way. When I start feeling the pangs of growth, I get excited. Now, that's not to say that I enjoy it, but I get excited because I know there's something on the other side of this. And so I am probably just like, maybe even too much so, all in. I'm like, okay, let's get our hands dirty. Let's dig. Let's find the most like gut wrenching thing to pull out right now and just go for it. And I think part of that is because I've realized over the last few years, like every loss has led to such a beautiful new beginning. And I don't even want to sound like, I feel like it all sounds like such a cliche, but I think my nervous system has become comfortable with that because it's proven itself out over and over and over again that the more willing I am to surrender or let go or go into a situation, even if it feels like loss, even if it feels scary, even if it feels so uncomfortable, the more willing I am to go into that situation, the easier it's going to be, the faster it's going to go. And I'm all about getting on the other side of it as quickly as I can. So, yeah, I think, but every time it's something new, like I haven't experienced this kind of growth before. I haven't experienced this version of myself in this type of growth before. There's always going to be the thing that's scared. That's like, oh, like I've been going through something for probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks now. That's like showing up to some of my relationships different, where not only do I have like, this is uncomfortable. I don't know how this person is going to accept this version of me. I don't know how to show up in this way. I don't know how to show up in hard times, not being codependent, not like taking over the situation or just completely withdrawing from the situation. Like right before, those are my two options. I'm either going to step in and control and like take charge of this, or I'm just going to like, peace out. You're on your own. I'm going to avoid. Those were kind of my two modes of operating before. Now it's like, okay, neither of those are good for any of us in this situation. So what does the new version of me look like? How do I show up here? That is uncomfortable because I'm facing all kinds of things, like all of my wounds of rejection and abandonment and all of those things are at play. And also like, how do you do this? I don't know. So my nervous system's like, well, none of this is safe. And so I personally feel the discomfort of that. And then then I just get all up in my head, like overthinking constantly, like all of the things. I don't know. I'm on a tangent here. That is what discomfort in growth looks like to me right now in my life. That is what I am personally experiencing. The question is, can we experience growth without discomfort? I don't think so. But what I do think is that we can reframe discomfort from being a bad thing. I don't think discomfort has to come through suffering. I don't think it has to, I think if we hold on to the thing that we're being called to grow out of with a death grip, the universe is going to do whatever it has to do to convince us that what's on the other side of discomfort is worth it, right? So if life is just constantly knocking the shit out of you, look at it and say, okay, what the hell is the universe trying to say is no longer working for me? Can I let go of that and trust that whatever is on the other side of it is worth letting go for? If so, that takes the suffering out of it and it just lets us move forward. I'm immediately like, as I'm saying this, I'm like, okay, am I coming at this from a place of privilege? Like, I think I've talked about this before. I hate the concept of manifestation, the way that most spiritual girlies view manifestation, because I think it comes from a place of privilege. It discounts so much systemic suffering that happens. And I want to be really mindful of that when I answer questions like this, because I know that I come from a place of incredible privilege. I'm a white woman. I am not impoverished. I have all kinds of privilege in my life. And so I can answer that question based coming from a place of privilege. I can't answer that question coming from a place of any kind of systemic oppression other than the oppression of women, which is big enough. I am aware of that. But, I have a lot of privilege even in that system. So I just want to be mindful of that as I'm answering this question. And I still think, for the most part, that truth is universal, that, the discomfort and the suffering of growth and transition and becoming is directly in relationship to how tightly are we holding on to the thing we're growing from. I don't know. That answer is clear as mud, as so many of my answers are. Because I appreciate the nuance of life and what's true for me. This is why I will never be a guru. Because I know that what's true for me is not necessarily true for most people. And, we're all on our path. I do know that I believe with my whole heart that growth does not have to come through suffering. So many of us are programmed to think that, programmed by life, programmed by previous life experiences, programmed by fucking patriarchy and systemic oppression and all kinds of things for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We're programmed to think that suffering, especially by fucking Christianity, in the way that it is approached in this country, in the US, especially in westernized Christianity, is like, the suffering of Jesus and all of it. Every good thing comes through suffering. Like it's the thing that is just the biggest bullshit. Yeah, I think hate the concept of growth having to be rooted in suffering. So I know that wasn't the question, it's discomfort and things like that, which I think is different. But I am on a quest in my own life to kind of undo that programming of I have to suffer in order to get to the other side and have good things, or I'm not even worthy of good things, That's a big one for me. This has been a ramble fest. I need a co-host. This just shows you that when we go on side quests, when Amanda's here too, it's not only Amanda that leads us on the side quest. I like to pretend like it is, but it's not. I'm a rambler. I'm a rambling man. It's hard, we're talking about topics that have so much nuance and so much to them that it's hard to have concrete answers. But there are also some pretty powerful universal truths that I feel like we can go back to. So I hope that there was something helpful in all of that. I'm just digging my toes in the dirt here, trying to stay grounded. Oh, yeah. Just the energy of the universe right now. There is so much going on, and I don't know any person who is not feeling the pull, the stretching, sometimes the burdensome feeling of transition, of really just being in it. And the part of me that is like the optimist in all things is like, yes, what is on the other side of this? I'm so excited. And then the part of me who is like, and also I'm having to live this fucking discomfort of this transition is like, oh God, when is this going to end? What is happening? How can I make this as fast as possible? And sometimes that's just not it. It's not how it's going to go. I'm finding myself having to soften into and surrender into this process, whatever it is. And I guess I'll just leave you with that. That spark of hope. Like we're just having to surrender to this. And what does love look like for you? And what does love look like through you in this surrender process? How does love show up for you? How do you show up in love? And how do you surrender into that love? It's a process, that's for sure. Thank you for just chatting in the garden with me today. I hope there was a nugget of something that was joyful or enlightening or helpful in some way. And we'll do this again soon. Maybe Amanda will join us in the garden, or maybe another friend next time. Someone will be here with me. I know that. I love talking to you, but I don't love talking by myself. Okay. Love you.